A spark in the darkness, the birth of Abahlali. In 2005, a spark of defiance ignited in the heart of Durban, South Africa. Hundreds of shack dwellers, tired of being ignored, took a stand. They occupied land in Sydenham, demanding basic services like water and sanitation. This act of courage marked the birth of Abahlali BaseMjondolo, a movement of the people, by the people, for the people. The name itself speaks volumes, Abahlali BaseMjondolo, meaning those who live in shacks. It is a powerful declaration of identity, a refusal to be defined by poverty or circumstance. From the outset, Abahlali BaseMjondolo articulated a clear vision: land, housing, dignity. The movement resonated with thousands across Durban and beyond. People living in informal settlements, denied basic rights and dignity, found their voice in Abahlali. A powerful wave of hope began to spread, challenging the status quo and demanding a just and equitable society. Leaders of ABM have been the targets of assassinations since the inception of the movement in 2005. To date, a minimum of 24 members have been assassinated. Many of these killings are not even reported on. On this episode, we're going to cover some of them as we paint the picture. From Kennedy Road to Cato Crest. In 2009, an estimated 10,000 people were living at Kennedy Road, one of many informal settlements in Durban. Abahlali BaseMjondolo had been in conflict with the ruling African National Congress. On Saturday, the 26th of September 2009, a weekend of Heritage Day events began at Kennedy Road with an ABM youth camp. At around 22:30, a mob armed with pangas, sjamboks, guns and bottles entered the settlement. The men woke residents up by banging on their doors and made threats while searching for ABM leaders, such as Ndlovu and SBU Zakode. Ndlovu had received warnings that his life was in danger and was forced to hide in his shack with his wife and 3-year-old daughter. He was saved by locking his door from the outside, so it appeared that he was not at home. According to reports, the mob shouted that Mpondo people were taking over the settlement from Zulu people. The police were called by residents, but did not come. At around 1 o'clock, about 50 armed men approached the hall where the youth camp was taking place. The police came, and by 3 o'clock the mob had dispersed. The attack was witnessed by the makers of the film, Dear Mandela. At around 3:30, the mob returned to the hall, smashing its windows and entering inside. 2 people were killed in the ensuing disorder. Later, shacks belonging to members of the Kennedy Road Development Committee were demolished, and others were looted by men shouting, "Down with Abahlali! Down with the KRDC!" An estimated 1,000 inhabitants fled after being threatened with violence and rape, as the violence continued into the next day. Both Figlon and Zakode went into hiding. In the aftermath, nobody from the mob was arrested, but 13 members of ABM were arrested and charged with murder. 8 were granted bail and 5 were remanded. Nkululeko Gwala, originally from Inchanga in KwaZulu-Natal, became a beacon of resistance as a resident of Cato Crest in Durban, fervently supporting the Marikana land occupation and actively participating in the shack dwellers' social movement, Abahlali BaseMjondolo. As the chairperson of their Cato Crest branch, Gwala was a relentless voice against corruption and injustice. On the fateful day of June 26, 2013, Gwala's life was brutally cut short. Following a tense community meeting with eThekwini Mayor James Nchumalo and ANC Regional Chairperson Sibongiseni Dlomo, where Gwala was ominously branded a troublemaker, his fate was sealed. Abahlali BaseMjondolo asserted that Dlomo had sinisterly proclaimed Gwala would be sorted out. That night, unknown assailants ambushed Gwala, mercilessly shooting him 12 times. Abahlali BaseMjondolo insisted Gwala's assassination was a direct result of his fearless exposure of corruption within Cato Crest, pointing fingers at a local ANC councillor in Ngila, whom they accused of orchestrating the hit. Chillingly, the same gunman was believed to have murdered housing activist Thembinkosi Kumbalo. Despite the community's knowledge and outcry, justice remained elusive. Years later, in a dark twist of fate, Mkafeni Mzimuni Ngila, the then councillor for Ward 101, was arrested for the murder of Siyabonga Makiza, who had replaced him. Yet the shadow of Gwala's unsolved murder still loomed large. Thuli and Ndlovu, a fearless housing activist and chairperson of the Kwandangezi branch of Abahlali BaseMjondolo, dedicated her life to advocating for the rights of shack dwellers. Known for her unyielding stance against corruption and her efforts to secure dignified housing for the marginalized, Ndlovu was a beacon of hope in her community. However, her brave activism painted a target on her back. On September 29, 2014, Ndlovu's relentless pursuit of justice was met with a brutal end. That evening, as she sat in her home, unknown gunmen stormed in and mercilessly shot her multiple times right in front of her teenage daughter. She was killed a few hours after telling her mother, "Today we are going to be shot." She had been suspicious of a car driving past her house in the afternoon. The attack was swift and ruthless, a clear message to those who dared to defy the powerful interests she had so fervently opposed. Abahlali was adamant that the shooting was linked to a housing development spat between the community and local leaders. The organization asserted that Ndlovu's death was not an isolated incident, but part of a broader pattern of violence aimed at silencing those who stood against entrenched corruption. The community was left in shock and mourning, grappling with the loss of a courageous leader. Despite the public outcry and demands for justice, the perpetrators of this heinous crime initially remained at large, reinforcing the dangerous reality faced by activists. But in twist of events, in 2016, her murder was later linked to her opposition to local ANC councillor Minduduzi Nkobo's corrupt practices. In a significant legal victory, Nkobo, along with Velile Lesheku and hitman Mlungizi Ndlovu, were convicted and sentenced for her murder in 2016. This conviction highlighted the perilous fight against entrenched corruption in South Africa. Ayanda Ngila, born in 1992, was a revered land activist and deputy chairperson of the Ekenana commune in Caddo Manor, Durban. On March 8, 2022, while heading to fix a water pipe, Ngila's life was brutally taken by 4 attackers. The murder, targeting both Ngila and the commune's chairperson Lindokuhle Mnguni, was reportedly orchestrated by hitmen linked to the local taxi industry and political leaders within the ANC. The violent act sent shockwaves through the community, highlighting the dangerous intersection of activism and local political corruption. Kaya Ngubane, son of a local ANC politician, was arrested for Ngila's murder. Nokuthula Mabaso, a key state witness in Ngila's assassination case, courageously stepped forward to seek justice. However, on May 5, 2022, her bravery was met with fatal retaliation. Mabaso was gunned down, a stark message to those daring to challenge the perpetrators. Her murder deepened the sense of fear and vulnerability among activists. In response to this heinous act, the accused, Kaya Ngubane, son of a local ANC politician, was denied bail, underscoring the precarious nature of seeking justice in a climate rife with intimidation and violence. Lindokuhle Mnguni, the chairperson of the Ekenana commune and a central figure in the pursuit of justice for Ngila, became the next tragic victim. On August 20, 2022, Mnguni was assassinated, a ruthless effort to silence one of the last voices against the corruption plaguing the community. His death, following closely on the heels of Mabaso's, illustrated the perilous reality faced by those who dared to confront entrenched political and criminal forces. These murders, deeply intertwined, underscored the lethal consequences of activism in the face of systemic corruption. On July 18, 2023, Kaya Ngubane, an ANC Youth League member, was found guilty of murdering Ayanda Ngila. Ngubane had intended to assassinate Lindokuhle Mnguni, chairperson of the Ekenana commune, but ended up killing Ngila instead. The trial highlighted the involvement of local political figures including Ngubane's father Samson, an ANC politician, and his uncle, both previously arrested for the murder of Nokuthula Mabaso. This conviction marked a crucial moment in the fight against corruption and violence targeting activists. Towards a brighter tomorrow, continuing the fight for justice. The journey of Abahlali BaseMjondolo is far from over. Challenges remain, obstacles persist, and the fight for justice continues. But one thing is certain, the spirit of resistance that ignited in a shack settlement in Durban in 2005 burns brighter than ever. Their unwavering commitment to their founding principles, land, housing, dignity, continues to inspire hope and mobilize communities. Their fight for a more just and equitable South Africa, where everyone has the opportunity to thrive, serves as a beacon of hope not just for the nation, but for the world. As long as inequality persists, as long as injustice prevails, As long as the voices of the marginalized are silenced, the struggle of Abahlali BaseMjondolo will continue to resonate, inspiring generations to come to raise their voices, demand their rights, and fight for a brighter tomorrow.